I feel European people in a warmer climate can be nicer people. So I actually had Vegemite because I heard so much about it.
Yeah.
And I heard people saying mat khana. So it's like Chyawanprash without the sugar. What I haven't tried is chai में like khari biscuit. वो बाकी है, but if the population lives in scarcity, they will not be nice to each other. They have to be secure about their basics first. The joke is when you come back to Mumbai and a stranger smiles at you, you check your pockets first.
So true.
When you live there, it's nice. Everybody smiles at you, and I think that's the least you owe to a fellow human being. No? You're alive, I'm alive, I can smile. No?
This is the first episode of this podcast. I might not release it as the first episode. I'm recording this as the first episode of the podcast. What is the podcast about? We will find out. That's why today I'm talking to Punit Pania. There's no better person to try to find out what your podcast is about. What's up, man? How are you? Thanks for doing this.
No problem.
I wanted to start with this joke you've been doing in Australia.
Yeah.
You mind telling us that joke? The one about Vegemite and wheat bix.
So I actually had Vegemite because I heard so much about it.
Yeah.
And I heard people saying mat khana. So when I was there in the hotel breakfast, I'm like, ठीक है, पैसे नहीं जा रहे. That's how Indians think. No? तो भी पढ़ाई तो खा के देखते हैं. So it's like Chyawanprash without the sugar. It's like it's that weird.
That's a great definition of it. I've never heard anyone give it that definition. Chyawanprash without sugar.
It is, no, because they're having it for health in general. Like लिखा भी है उसके ऊपर. तो and it's everywhere. It's so popular. तो उसका kitchen मिल रहा है. तो फिर it's like a trip advisor to do thing. So I had it a few times and it's an acquired taste, you can say that. And I'm not very picky with food and taste, so I can have it if somebody says try karo, ye karo. So, but what I'm really into is the wheat bix. So that joke is based in reality. Wheat bix is like it's a drug now. So I've been having it across the country और मैं 1 किलो वापस लेके जा रहा हूँ.
Seriously?
If Gesture allows that huge pack that you see उसमें.
Oh, you're taking it back.
Yeah, 72 sticks से क्या करेगा? I mean, I bought it to take it back home. है तो सिर्फ गेहूं ही, but there's something about the simplicity of it, I think.
Yeah, man. Isn't it weird that we don't have wheat bix? It's such a, like you said, it's such a simple and tasty and healthy as well.
And profitable क्योंकि लोग गेहूं बेच रहे हैं $5 किलो में. पैसे तो बहुत बन रहे हैं इनके. So we have wheat flakes obviously, but there's something about the packing and everything.
Yeah.
Even that comic you had told me to see the show off in Adelaide, the Venezuelan guy, he had a whole set on wheat bix.
Achha, you did?
Yeah, so I guess it's a thing.
Yeah, wheat bix is a very Australian thing, I guess. The only form that I like it in is I put it in a shake.
Okay.
Yeah, because it makes the shake nice and thick. Yeah, and
like a smoothie.
Like a smoothie.
Yeah, what I haven't tried is chai में like khari biscuit. वो बाकी है, but maybe when the Indian community expands further, they will have a jeera wheat bix for us.
Did you like Vegemite?
Yeah, I can have it, but like it's like they say acquired taste. I think after a while, then you'll get to a point where you like, I want it. अभी ऐसा ठीक है तो.
But you weren't like, man, like, this definitely don't want.
No, I can have it.
Listen, can you have Karela?
Yeah.
So you're okay with things that don't have a conventionally tasty.
Yeah. So I think also someone tells you कि it is good for health. तो आप मान लेते हो थोड़ा कि चल नुकसान तो नहीं हो रहा है ना इसमें. So like Tim Tams for example are also like sought after for tourists at least. और यहाँ पे तो ठीक है. It's like Parle Ji यहाँ का, right? So I had it a couple of times and then when we bought it, last time मैंने ध्यान दिया कि उसका health star rating 0.5 है. I haven't been able to touch it after that because 2 weeks when I draw the line. तो वन भी मैंने देखा हुआ है कि पेप्सी होता है ना, ठीक है मैं थोड़ी पेप्सी पीता हूँ, आई एम बेटर देन दैट, When I saw 0.5, I was like, is this even possible for something to be this unhealthy? So I couldn't have it after that. I think it's that. Like, you just write vitality on Vegemite and people will try.
Oh, you're the perfect audience then. So you maybe you're what you're saying is there's a market for Vegemite in India. They should explore.
Yeah,
If you're into it, it's safe to assume another million people might be into it. Like we've got 1 billion people.
Yeah, so only 1 million because my tastes and my audience.
Million is good enough. It's their entire population, man. That's like, you know what I mean? Like if they tap
and
into.
my million would be in the city, so they would buy also.
Yeah.
Just say Australian herbal product. That's all you need to do, no? And there is this, it's a joke, but some people believe it. Some people are saying Australia was also like part of the Indian sphere of influence. So, because Australia को Australia बोल दिया. That's all it takes to just for the word to sound Indian somehow. But Ati, you were telling me there are some communities native here who trace their lineage back to Ravana. There are some stories. And probably it is because of the migration from Southeast Asia 3000 years back, like not the original inhabitants of the. And Indonesia, में तो आपको पता है कि our epics are part of the mythology. It could be. So there is some connection. That is enough for market. इतने में हो जाएगा.
That's true. Man, that's Jesus. I think I'm not even like this is serious stuff. Like maybe this is what I should be doing.
Yeah.
Bringing Vegemite to India.
You can partner with the Patel guys and tell them आप import करो, export भी कर लो gas. Because I saw in Sydney in the supermarket, they're selling Nirma and all. I was like, why? I did that joke also, dude, कि आप क्यों ले रहे हो? Like, why would you have nostalgia about patriarchy? बाकी चीज ठीक है. At least you have better soaps you use that. And you're paying $3-4 for Nirma just makes no sense.
It doesn't know. They sell it, man. I guess the people buying it.
Yeah.
People buying Nirma in Australia.
Yeah, fucking washing powder ये सब मिल रहा है यहाँ पे. पतंजलि का टूथपेस्ट like ठीक है सर मैं भी खुद भी लेके आया अपना टूथपेस्ट. That may be because it's like taste what
yes.
And here you have washing machines everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how the Indians are living. Like I think I should go into a real Indian house. I only went to my friends' places who are like kind of metro. But maybe the Desis have really brought India here completely.
There are definitely different variations of how Indian can be when they're in Australia.
They're more Indian than us, no, many of them.
Exactly. And also there's like, you know how it is, like there is no such thing as an Indian, right? What the hell is an Indian? There's like a billion different versions of an Indian. So where I am coming from, where you're coming from, is a certain kind of India, right?
Yeah.
So if there are other Indians coming here from different parts, and they're bringing their vibe, whatever that is, to this place. So I was once looking for a house to stay in Melbourne. This is like 6-7 years ago, and also I guess it's also a lot of it is to do with the socio-economic place that you're coming from in India, right? That dictates how you will end up living here.
Yeah.
So I was looking for a place to stay in, and I went to this one Indian house. They had done an ad for a room for rent in their house. I was like, nice man. Like Indians, it's obviously more comfortable to live with Indians. I'll look at the room. But I went. The room was actually like it was a 3-bedroom house, and there were 5 people living in it already. Family, not like bachelors. Family
of 5.
Of 5. Mummy, papa, husband, wife, 1 kid, and they were renting out 1 room in it. The house was it was chaotic, man. There were too many people in that house as it is.
It looked like a crime scene.
It did look like a crime scene. And I was like, if I live in this house, I won't just be like, I'll have to be part of the family. Like, you know, abhi mummy papa bhi hai, bacha bhi hai, meko uski social potty bhi dhoni pade shayad beech mein. Like, so this will be me not renting me, moving into like becoming part of the family. So I decided not to. But that's also how some are living. I guess socio-economic probably is a bigger factor. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they're saving to send it back home. ये भी होगा ना. And all that hardship, I don't know for what. Like, do they appreciate the good things about this country, or do you think they're too caught up in just the day to day and the saving the money and all of that?
I think they're too caught up. Most of them.
Yeah.
Well, I think for a lot of them, the fun part about Australia will happen with the kids. Like the kids will enjoy Australia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're going to be too caught up with this, and that's it. That will be the end of their life. But the kid is going to grow up in actual Australia with Australian whatever understanding of things. That he'll go out camping or she'll go out camping, and go to a festival and do LSD. Do all those things that an Australian should be doing. But yeah,
I heard in Sydney that the visa they give you is not for you but for your third generation, because they will be completely Aussie.
Yeah.
Second generation will be in the middle. You are lost cause. Third generation will still not Aussie enough to join the armed forces, but Aussie enough.
Yeah, I guess. I think the second generation seems to be a bit confused. They seem Aussie enough, but yeah, a bit confused. I think I have a feeling you cross the line when you start sounding like them. That's that. Because then, we both were discussing this yesterday, that when you don't sound like the country you're living in, I think there is everyone you talk to will immediately put you in a bracket, put you in a box, because you're not sounding like them.
Yeah.
But if you don't look like them, but you sound like them, I think you've won the game. Because most people, it's Australia, man. These are multicultural societies, at least in Melbourne, Sydney. So if you can sound like them, I think 90% they've accepted you. But if you're not sounding like them, man, That's the. So you came here, you started doing comedy also. Yeah. How did you feel? Like how was that experience?
So, I mean, the first couple of shows I did were with you only in your shows in Adelaide, and I tried doing the bits I had prepared and the bits I thought would work here, but just couldn't cut across. And I remember thinking, is it the way I'm talking? Am I too fast, too slow? Am I not enunciating properly? I think all of that was there, but it's just that you sound so different, that you have to address it first, like we were discussing. You can't just go up and say, hey, sir, I was at the dry cleaners last night. No, who the fuck are you? First introduce yourself, You almost feel that onus is upon you, and then again, you only translate to the audience in laughs. Right? So when the laughs started coming with the other jokes that I had to write eventually, like the Vegemite joke, then okay, now it makes sense for them. Who is this guy who's a top 10 on stage? And of course, they've seen Indians around everywhere. Yeah. But I guess on stage, when you're the center of attention there, then you have to. You work up a few opening jokes at least, and you've seen that progression in me doing the sports. So now at least I can say 8-10 minutes nikal sakte hain stage pe. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's progress from where I started. But from the beginning, first few shows, I ate shit too.
Did you see a difference in performing in different cities?
Yeah, Melbourne, more people are coming. Again, the thing is, my data set is so small. Like Adelaide, we just did 3 shows and they were all actually good attendance except the last one. So, that way I can't complain. But I feel Melbourne a little more receptive audience than Adelaide for sure. Brisbane, I just did the one show, which was my own show. So, apne log aaye the, it went well. I did one open mic in Gold Coast, but it was just tourists in the audience. So you can't really go by that. No? So I think not enough to go. Perth, I did one open mic, went quite well, about 30 people. Decent lineup, they were receptive. I did one open mic in Auckland in New Zealand in my very first week here. That also went quite well, about 30 people in the audience. So, well, again, when I say well, I'm adjusting to Aussie standards. बैक होम तो भी है कि गांगुली शर्ट उतार के फेंक रहा है, ऐसा शो होता है ना अपना, तो जो इंडिया में हम लोग करते हैं. We are counting applause breaks back in India. That's how we operate. Like, especially when you're reading the video comics, that's the normal discussion कि मेरा 15 applause break ही आ रहा है यार 20 मिनट की वीडियो में, 3 और चाहिए था. So, it's become a sport. It need not be that way, but then it's an arms race at the end of the day in terms of numbers online and all. So, यहाँ का audience is not like a very not even about giving, it's just the cultural thing, I think. They come, they're having a good time, and it's not that big a deal for them, maybe, Because what is the population here in Melbourne? Do you know? Like,
Melbourne Key is around 5 million.
5 million.
4.5.
That's like 50 lakhs. Like this.
50 lakhs.
Less than half of Mumbai. Right?
Mumbai is how much?
Mumbai is 1.5.
1.5 crore.
Actually, almost 3 times.
Sure.
Yeah. So,
And Melbourne, by the way, size-wise, 8 times bigger than Delhi. It's very spread out.
Achha, so this 5 million is the suburbs.
Exactly.
जगह तो है यहाँ रास्ते अच्छे हैं तो
because they've got 25 million total people in the continent or this country. 5 million Melbourne, 5 million Sydney, 10 less 15 are spread out in other cities.
Yeah. So now if you do that math, no, it is like less than half of Mumbai and Delhi both. Delhi is the 1/4 of America. And still there's so many shows in the festival, people are coming out for each show, which means they sample a lot, they see a lot. तो उन्होंने देखा हुआ है बहुत already. In India, still people coming out for a show is a big event in their life. Like they talk about it with their friends for weeks. And even after all of these years, whenever he asks how many of you are seeing a show for the first time, at least half the people will raise their hand.
First time.
That's the difference, I guess. So maybe we are spoiled that way. But having said that, if you just see Indian comedy from an Indian context, I think we've done quite well. If you see the skill and the topics that are now, at least some of us are approaching.
Yeah,
I think it's doing well.
When I talk to anyone here, non-Indian, and about comedy and how stand-up comedy is huge in India now, I always feel this urge to tell them that even though stand-up comedy is huge now in India, started fairly recently, the idea of getting up on stage and making people laugh, Hasya Kavita, not like we've had that for generations and generations. Yeah. So, because I feel this need to tell them, because with a lot of cultures, that's not the case. Like I speak to my friends in China and a lot of Asian countries. They obviously everybody had their version of comedy and theater, but I feel Hasya Kavita is so close to stand-up that I think our jump from that to stand-up it's a small step really. We've not, it wasn't like, oh my God, someone standing on stage and just talking and we're laughing. It wasn't mind-blowingly new for us, right?
Yeah. I think, but then even in the West, they can trace it back to Greece and theatre, the one-act plays. Is probably what they would do if you were to ask them. So, sure, there is a lineage that way. But I feel stand-up, the way we do it, is a very urban, very metro, very cosmo art form. And you can see it in the way spread out in India also. Small towns, you may go and do a show once in a while, but you'll never have a scene. No, it can't have a scene. If log hi nahi hai, log hain, so they wouldn't consume that much. In the cities which are big, but they're traditionally very strong in their own theatre, you won't see stand-up doing that much indoors. For example, Chennai, Kolkata. Now, local theatre scene very strong. So people do go out for live show, but they go for their theatre. Comedy bhi hai, usme musicals bhi hai.
Okay.
So Kerala is another example. A lot of live performances which are very native to Kerala. People go for those. Stand-up, not so much.
Yeah.
So I think these are like notional things, like where it comes from, or no, these are more about classification. I don't really think too much about it. I think you are born in a certain milieu and you have to make do with it. Right? I mean, why are we even wearing pants right now? Is that no? Why does anyone in India wear pants? Doesn't make sense. It's a tropical fucking country, no? But now we are stuck with it. Why do we play cricket for that matter? We played more passionately than the rest of the world. But it's a fucking colonial imposition. No? ये क्या चूतिया कि मैं 5 दिन तक धूप में मरवा हुआ. So that's one of the jokes I tried, that the British ruled us for 300 years and all we got is pants and cricket in return. And cricket is a 5-day game, does not make sense. Only way it makes sense is if you have slavery. इतना आराम से कौन खेलेगा? So those are those cultural quirks that you just have to live with. Like in this day and age, you're using this medium. In another day and age, you will be doing something else to express what you're doing. Like, for example, some comics I feel they're not even comics, they would have been DJs 10 years back. But today they pick this up. They don't really want to do it, they want something else out of it. Could be fame, could be just action, but
Interesting. What made you travel to Australia?
so multiple reasons sort of came together. Like festival was one of them, obviously the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, which people have been telling me for a few years now to go and do it. Shows का कहीं ना कहीं से आता रहता है inquiry, but I don't think I have enough numbers to justify a trip. So I have a few very good friends of mine who are here and who have been here for like decades. They've been wanting me to come. अभी इतना टाइम हो गया, they might come back soon because they run their course here. So then I thought all those things came together. So I do the trip more of as a personal trip where I get to do some stand. That was the idea. And even if we lose money, it's okay, which we have. We have lost a lot of money. So I think there's a very leverage to that way that I'll meet my friends, I'll like see these places, and I'll also do some shows for the Desis like I did. And they did go very well in Melbourne and in Sydney at least, and do the festival. So I think that way the objectives have been met. In fact, on my way back now, I'm going to go to Singapore and do 2 more shows before I go back.
Oh, nice. Like your own solo show?
Yeah, I'm going to headline 2 club shows. Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be my first time in Singapore also doing a show. So the point was to make the trip count. Basically, if you're going out of the house and you're leaving your work, your business, and your family behind, then make the most of it.
Yeah.
So when I was planning it on paper, itself the tour looks so daunting. There is 50 plus days out of home and away from work and away from your routine and everything else. So and it has been kind of stressful on a lot of occasions because of the traveling and the time zones and the time in the year.
You, to give people context, you missed your show in Adelaide. Your flight got delayed, or you missed the connecting flight, and your show in Adelaide just never happened.
Yeah, and we worked so hard to get some people to come that day, right? And then you feel guilty because you got co-opted so many people into your show and fucking you couldn't make it. So my producer booked it for me from New Zealand, and then he just thought कि Qantas भाई है आपस में तो आपको ले लेंगे, पर ऐसा नहीं होता है ना, वो इमिग्रेशन में 2-3 घंटा लग गया. So I mean you learn some of these things.
Is this your first time traveling outside India?
No, I've done a few countries, not a lot. Been to Thailand way back because that's how all Indians should start going. And been to Dubai more than a few times, but that doesn't really count because it's like a suburb of Mumbai now. Been there for a couple of shows, like a few times for a show, and then once when I was working back in the day with my company. Bhutan, I've been, which that's I think one trip probably I really liked was Bhutan. A Euro trip was, I did I went to my friend in Switzerland, and then I did Paris, Greece, Germany, few days. Not all of Europe, but like a few countries. But that trip I ended up doing alone because my friend had to come back for something. So it ended up becoming quite a sad trip. So I think in all the trips, I think Bhutan I liked the most.
So this was the longest you spent in one country outside India, I guess.
I would say so. Yeah.
Is it what do you? What I wanted to ask you was, what is your perception of? Because you do this joke, and I might play it.
Yeah.
About the drinking culture in Australia, right? It's a great joke, and
I think everybody drinks quite a lot outside. I mean, in India also we drink, but social drinking यहाँ पे बहुत. But then again, every country boasts of their drinking culture almost. No? Like the Irish will have their thing, and they're known to be like crazy drinkers. But Germany has Oktoberfest, and Americans are having beer like it's water. So the very few topics that you can connect on end up being drinking, which is so sad. I think it's a sign of the times we live in. This is the one thing you connect on. And I just came up with this joke on the spot at Exford, which is that open mic that happens every night of the festival, and Chris runs it, and he himself keeps drinking throughout the show. Right, and that's the running theme of the show, that he's drunk and the audience is drunk and everybody is drunk. So this fucking came to me. So and it worked like a charm that day. So I kept with it. Like it did not even be accurate anymore, but it works. And somehow, whenever you say you guys are fucking great drinkers and the people like it, it's not a compliment really if you think about it. I feel having a beer when you're thirsty is the height of capitalism success. No? You're thirsty, but you're having something which will make you dehydrated.
Yeah, that's so true. No, people love it when you say, "How is you?" It's weird, no? Like the drinking culture in India and these Western countries. It's is weird in every way. Obviously, right? We have so much baggage about everything and so many cultural undertones about how we think about and we deal. So with drinking, people obviously love drinking.
Yeah.
But they won't celebrate it as openly like these guys do.
Yeah.
They're like, they own it. They're like, we love drinking. We've got bars everywhere.
Yeah.
And like you said, they love it when you say it. In India, there's some sense of guilt and some sense of, nahi, daru gandi cheez hai, you shouldn't be doing it, but we do it. We won't drink on Tuesday, but we'll drink on the rest.
Yeah.
Like, it's a weird, like...
It's just suppression, man. Everything about us is, no, I think a lot of it comes from suppression. Like be it sex, be it drinking, be it consuming meat, a lot of other things. There's just taboos everywhere, but it's not like it does not happen. This has to happen like sort of below the radar. So, daru to kitna log peete hain? You saw in the lockdown in Kerala, the government had to pass a law saying that you can get alcohol on a doctor's prescription. Because people are having that much withdrawal. And almost any state you go to, they will boast, Mallu log kitna peeta hai.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's one joke that Musa Mallu comic of ours in Mumbai used to do. He said, Mallus drink so much alcohol, they piss Dettol. And it's just... and it works every fucking time. No, and you think that the Tamils don't drink, of course they drink. Everybody drinks. Bengalis drink. Hey, ऐसा hardly कोई state है.
Yeah, I lived for 3 years in Ahmedabad, and we used to see that वहाँ पे in the nearest place where you can drink like legally there is Daman and Diu.
Yeah.
Right? There used to be hordes of people going in their cars and buses on the weekend to Daman and Diu just to drink.
Either
so
Daman
clearly they also love it.
Or Udaipur. Yeah. And the sales is huge. वहाँ पे जो below the counter sales बहुत है. I mean, it always been that way. So, but then still you will have this sort of etiquette, and a lot of it is just upper caste baggage. Like even the whole veg thing. India, where most states are very non-veg. In fact, it's so surprising that Tamil Nadu is the most non-veg state. Whereas your first thing comes to your mind is all the pure veg restaurants of that state. It's because it's a hegemony of the upper caste. And conversely, Punjab is a very veg state, although you think it is non-veg. So I think it's just a lot of cultural baggage and a lot of history. There is this great saying that America is the only country that went from savagery to civilization overnight. And even this country is sort of like that. So then, in a way, it's good to just start with a clean slate. There is no baggage behind. This is how we live, and this is how we've been living for a while now, and that's it.
Yeah.
अपना तो चल रहा है, हजारों साल पहले ये होता था, अब तो, and it's good to acknowledge it, but then I think it just keeps playing a part in your current life, which causes dissonance. That's all it is. It's dissonance. It creates stress.
That's a great word to describe it, actually. That's what it is. It's dissonance.
But everyone you know, including people in your own family, they drink, but it's a hush-hush thing.
Yeah. Also, it's a weird, like, it's like personally, I also, in some part of me also thinks that we shouldn't celebrate drinking as much. Just because I don't think it's a good thing for the society in general. People being drunk and people suffering from alcoholism and being okay about it. So there is that also. So, it's a weird thing. So I like the idea of not celebrating drinking, but I don't like the idea of it not being celebrated for the wrong reasons. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Ideal society would be one that we wouldn't need to depend on intoxicants तो वो तो कभी होना नहीं है. I mean, if you really want to go down that path, then that is the ideal way to be. But वो तो chance ही नहीं.
Yeah, so we India, we're in somewhere in a weird place where we're trying to have that ideal vision in our head where, you know, people, we're all doing yoga, we're all meditating, and no one needs to drink. But the problem is that's not the reality. Everybody drinks, and if you actually want to get to that ideal place, you have to first acknowledging what the reality is, and then maybe the society develops.
कब होगा वो नहीं, चांस यहाँ पे. I went to the church here, the one opposite Southern Cross, the big one, St. John's, I think. And as soon as you enter, there's a big poster saying that we apologize for, one was for the child abuse that has come up in the church in general, and the other was for the natives, and especially the church because they were involved in the stolen generation. And of course, you might say this is just lip service, and you know, they're still here, they shouldn't even be here. But at least they're acknowledging. हम कब करेंगे? It has to start somewhere, no?
100%. That's so true. That's so true. We're not doing it
at all. So that way, I think we are centuries behind if you think of it that way. But for alcohol, though, I think you're right. It shouldn't be celebrated. But again, this is a perception here. I think people can hold their drinks. No, I don't see people just going flat out. Or I don't know how big alcohol is as a problem in the country. Is it?
It is. I think it is. I don't know the data and set point for it, but depression is a huge problem. And everybody's drinking, and clearly we know this from a personal experience. Alcohol doesn't help with depression. Like, if anything, it makes it worse. It helps for 4 hours at max. So it's anyway. What I wanted to, with this joke also, you end this joke with this bit about how it's Hindi is not the national language in India. It's corruption. Yeah. What made me think is you can't help but bring some politics in every joke you do.
Yeah, I can't. It has to be. Otherwise, then I feel like, I just did a trick. Just played with what made people laugh. And what is the point? So, and for me, in that joke, the bigger point is that Hindi is not the national language. Every time you get to say that, it is important because it is being imposed right now for various reasons. And of course, it's good to have a lingua franca, as they say. And Hindi sort of default that if you had to pick when you go abroad, at least. But you can't impose it on people. There are so many different cultures in South, especially in the Northeast. And the reason why they're doing it is because it's so easy to control people with one language. When you centralize all the media in Noida, and they're practically, your sex slaves, then it's good if Hindi is imposed on everybody. So, and diversity is the enemy, really speaking. They want everyone to fall in line like the Communist Party in China. One everything, one nation, one leader, one party. And Hindi is part of that big agenda.
And one party doing corruption.
Yeah.
Just one.
That's right. Yeah. As long as you're wearing our jerseys, you can do it. So for me, that is the more important part of the joke.
Interesting. So for you, like the joke, if you're making a joke, it has to have a point.
Yeah. That's a me problem, not an audience problem.
That's interesting. Who was your inspiration for comedy? Like, who is or was?
It would have to be, I think, George Carlin, if I had to pick one. I've been hearing Carlin from even before I knew what stand-up is. Because the man is so influential on culture in general that you keep hearing his recordings and his voiceovers in documentaries and the weirdest of places. This is before even social media was a thing. So I heard him from way before even I started becoming used to what stand-up is. So I guess that plays a big part of. And then you can see it in every third comment is Carlin, and then I don't know if it should take it as a compliment or what, but I think very clearly it's that one man. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I would have guessed that anyway.
Yeah.
I thought I'd ask you
Yeah.
because obviously your comedy.
Yeah. From the current lot, I love Doug Stanhope the most. I think if I had to pick one today, but of course there's so many other great people. And Chappelle and Bill Burr recent sessions have been disappointing, but you can't take that away from a legacy.
Sure.
I don't watch nearly as much stand-up as you think I would because there's just simply no time. But yeah, if I had to pick one, it would be Carlin.
Okay. You do this joke here about going to seeing a porn shop and now how porn shops are really big. I had a very quick story I wanted to tell you about it. So when I first moved to Gold Coast, it was like literally my third month there, second or third month.
Yeah.
And at that time, Singh is King was being shot in Gold Coast. So Akshay Kumar and Neha Dhupia, or I think
Neha Sharma.
No, I think there was this female actress, like I think Neha Dhupia was there. I'm forgetting another name. There was another actress. They were there in Gold Coast. There was a lot of buzz by Indians that they're there. And I saw one day I was walking past. There was this sex shop in the city called Condom Kingdom. And I saw outside that there were like these big bouncers standing, which there were never bouncers there. And we were curious, why is there bouncers? And there were a few Indians standing outside, being a bit like, what's happening? And we went. This Neha Dhupia was inside the Condom Kingdom. And he was like, wait, Neha Dhupia. And she's inside Condom Kingdom. This is even more fascinating than just seeing Neha Dhupia on the street.
Condom Kingdom.
Yeah, that was the name of the section. And so we were like so fascinated. So yeah, did you actually end up going to one? And
I went to a couple actually, and the range is just so mind blowing of the products, and it's also funny, like now they have these inflatable dolls, right? They come in a box like this, and the script was like the caricature of what doll will look like. And obviously, if it's a guy, it's some fucking buffed up fantasy figure. If it's a lady, it will be like some extremely sexed up nurse or something. And you just feel that we done it too. We commoditize love also. Like it's there in a packet. Just open it, it'll blow up. It's very sad if you look at it that way. And some of the fucking dildos, you think Nat Geo chal raha hai ki kya hai? I mean, ठीक है, different races are different sizes, but some of it is outlandish. Like, how does it even fucking work? Like, how can it work?
That's so true. I'm laughing. That's so true. You look at that, is there something wrong with me? Is this a real... is any penis this big?
And if it is, like, how are they walking around? Like, and they're legit for a couple of days, like in Sydney at least, I was looking around at the black guys and I'm like, nice.
Still not that big.
Yeah, you can't walk around like that. And like some of them are like cricket bats, dude. Like you could genuinely play T20 with it. So there's a lot of edibles also now. And the branding is so interesting. Body butter it is called. Yeah. I mean, फ्रिज से ले लो ना कुछ क्या फर्क पड़ता है लेकिन नहीं वो पैकेट there are machines which are fucking deadly. Like I tried doing that joke, didn't really work, but literally machines are like military grade machines, right? And you feel how bored are you that you have to get to resort to all of this. So in one way to look at it is they're so liberal that they can do this. The other way to look at it is that extreme freedom also doesn't lead to happiness. Both are true. Like the point about drinking, that like we suppress it, but at the same time, why should we even celebrate it? It's a great point. So, but the thing is that this is the trick Indians use to sort of feel good about themselves. कि हाँ यहाँ पे ऐसा है, अपने वहाँ पे ऐसा है. This sort of हाँ सब ठीक ही है, overall sort of some sort of equalization. वैसा नहीं है ना यहाँ पे. You have clean air to breathe. To start there first. No, you can drink the water from the fucking tap. We are shooting in somebody's house right now, and it is pristine silence. No, we are not even on a farmhouse somewhere. In India, you have to drive 200 kilometers to get just a quiet room for yourself. वहाँ पे कुछ ना कुछ बाजू में हो रहा है आवाज. So these are the things that actually matter, no? For your kids to go out and play in the open, and generally safety. Yeah, no? Because like you can leave your door unlocked. You wouldn't do it, but if you do, it's not a problem.
Yeah. 100%.
So those are things to be, to be thinking about.
Yeah.
Those are things to, if you migrated, that should be the reason, not anything else. And the fact that we are so polite on the road everywhere in general, is that like just my tourist experience in general, they are polite. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're just
That's
they're
what
courteous.
the first few days that I had come here and I was living in Gold Coast, I genuinely, for the first few days, I would walk in the street and I would keep checking, I would think my zipper is open. Because people were looking at me and smiling. In my head, they were laughing at me.
Yeah.
Because that's the only time people smile at you when you're walking around in Delhi. If they're laughing at you, like no one is going to smile at you just for greeting. So I genuinely would check, something, am I looking weird? Why are they laughing at me? Then I clicked, they're smiling at me. They're greeting me. Like, that's so bizarre.
The only place this happens in India is Himachal, or like the hills in general, which is a part of my show also, where I say that when you live there, it's nice, everybody smiles at you. And I think that's the least you owe to a fellow human being. You're alive, I'm alive, I can smile. But वो नहीं हो पाता. Because the joke is when you come back to Mumbai and a stranger smiles at you, you check your pockets first.
So true.
And where does that come from? Is because life is so good that you feel obliged to do it. So and in the hills, life is that good. Maybe they don't realize it. People are living there, they want to come to the cities. Aspiration, whatever they see on the screen, they want to replicate it. But their life in general is that good. The vitality is that good, because the fucking air is better. Although now even Himachal AQI is worse than Melbourne.
Seriously? Wow. That's telling.
Yes, yeah. We ruined almost everything. So there are factories. Obviously, some districts have factories, so you can smell the shit in the air in Himachal also. But otherwise, the tourists and construction everywhere.
I wanted to ask you this, that you're a guy who you're doing comedy, which is you're making people laugh, but the topics you talk about are mostly quite deep and dark, and you're poking fun at, or you're showing the absurdity of things that are fucked up.
Yeah.
Which is great. We need that, right? To stay sane.
Yeah.
But like personally, how do you stay sane considering that you focus so much on the fucked upness? Also, what do you see, like how we just discussed, like the AQI is getting worse. It's anyone who has half a brain can tell the politics in India is getting worse. What's the future? How do we stay positive? How do you personally stay positive about the future?
It's a question I'm getting asked a lot with increasing frequency. Wherever I go, it could be people who come for the show, people I know personally. How do you maintain sanity? Also, because often I do the satsangs online and I meet people, and people ask the even broader question: what is the point of life? And I say, for me, the point of life is to just maintain your sanity, because that is the most difficult thing. The world is insane. How do you maintain your own sort of sanctity? So, having said that, how do you do it in the current times and the current India? You can't. One way is to switch off completely from the news. Because if you're a person who is feeling affected, it means that you're privileged enough to know that things are fucked. For the other people, so they don't even know what is happening. They're just going with the flow. अच्छा राइड करने का चलो आज शराब बन रही है, फिर फ्री में ले लेते हैं, कल वोट डाल देंगे. तो like the most stark example for me was that when in the lockdown the migrant crisis happened, and when so many migrant workers had to walk across the country to their houses. And intense debate happening over this also, because the party had to be defended at all costs, no matter how apparent the damage is. And I felt that none of the migrant workers have a Twitter account. It's us fighting it out on either side. So which means that if you can talk about politics, it is not affecting you directly.
That's so interesting. I didn't think about that.
Because there is no real middle class in India, and now even not in the US also. Maybe there was a time around the Great Depression or the wars where there was a proper middle class, that working class people who are getting paid okay wages, you can say minimum, a little above that, and they are all educated. They are organized, they go to meetings, they resist. वो कहाँ है? वो तो खत्म कर दिया हमने, नहीं था भी नहीं वैसे भी. तो जिसको आप मिडिल क्लास बोलते हो वो तो काफी प्रिविलेज क्लास है इंडिया में, इंक्लूडिंग अस. तो देन आई फील दैट you, if you're feeling that your sanity itself is being attacked by the environment you're in, you have a choice of switching off. Because you're that privileged that if you stop watching the news from tomorrow and you stop tweeting, nothing will happen to you for a few years at least. Eventually, the Gestapo is going to come to your door. But
especially if you're not Muslim,
yeah, you'll
be fine.
You will find then you'll get. I mean, the thing is, you don't know how much it'll escalate. Like, like what level will the policing go in the state?
It will escalate, and it's safe to assume it'll escalate to a point where after that it's unsustainable and it crashes, right? The trajectory always has to be this. It can never be like, there'll never be an equilibrium when they'll go, okay, this is it.
But China has not crashed. North Korea is like,
that's true.
It is what it is. So I think question only is whether you become China or you become North Korea. There are two options left, sadly. So
you personally, are you going towards switching off or?
Yes, that's what I'm getting at. That one option is switching off, which you can't do. If you're a conscientious person, you can't just go around. And also the circles you are in, you will hear about it. Like, I've been here for almost 2 months now and I'm not very much in touch with the news, but you hear it from somebody. DMs, you can't escape that news now. And one thing is escaping, the other thing is that knowing the gravity of the news. A lot of people hear the news and it just bounces off because they don't realize what it actually means. But then you know what it means, arresting a sitting CM for the first time in the history of the country without there being a money trail or a conviction, right? So you can't escape. So what is the other option is to see it in broader context, as broad as possible, that the politics of the country, what it is right now, has not just dropped out of the sky. It is a repercussion of what happened before and before and before. You can link it back to at least 500-600 years, like, because not everything they say is without context. No?
Of course.
We had invaders in the country that did what they did, and if you compare it with today's atrocities, those were like mountains of atrocities compared to what happened today, and it's all documented. Right? Of course, there were conversions. Of course, temples got broken down. Of course, people got slaughtered. Of course, there was rape and plunder. So, उसका repercussion आपको अभी देखने मिल रहा है, right? And what that shows you that every act of violence, it reverberates through the centuries.
Wow, that's so true.
So at some point, you will have to take a call whether I want to be party to it or not, because why you keep on fighting, you're adding fuel to the fire. Now, does that mean that the solution to the world's problems? No, because you are only an individual. You do what is in your capacity to spread peace in the world. It could be a very, very limited circle, but at least you're not adding to the chaos. Is it not? Now you take up in arms against, say, the current establishment. Okay, you did your bit, you are a revolutionary, but then is that in the long term, is just going to perpetuate in some other, there'll be another cycle after this, right? So the point is to see it in that broad context, and the bucks or the fans and the voters or whatever you want to call them, they don't have agency. They not have the chances you would have in your life to see things from a broader perspective. So rather than being angry, you should, pity them if you can't empathize. Empathizing would be like giving them more respect, but at least pity them. Start there at least. Still better place would be than to be angry with them.
Sure.
I think the only people to be really angry about are the people in power and the enablers. Because they are doing it cynically. They're doing it completely knowingly and cold-bloodedly. They are psychopaths. Clearly. No one else can do it. वो जो भी बात करे धर्म वर्म का वो तो सब बोलने की बात है. Whatever gets them through to power. Same party will allow beef in states where it's kosher to do so. तो उनका कोई धर्म नहीं.
They've just figured out a formula to make a chuti out of people.
Yeah. So I think that's the only way to maintain a sanity, to see that it's not like everybody's a zombie. I mean, they are in a way, but they're not evil.
Sure.
Few people are evil and they use the money and the system to their advantage.
Sure.
And it's not a happy place to be personally, but it's a sane place to be.
Is it, do you also in your head, do you feel like through your comedy, you're resisting, you're playing your part?
Whatever I say on stage, I feel compulsively about it. So then a lot of people come up to me and say, "Sir, you're so brave for doing what you do." And I tell them, I don't know if that is bravery. But bravery would be like, knowingly taking a big risk against all odds. I'm saying whatever's coming to my mind, I can't be any other way right now. And the mob is not at my door right now. So are the stakes really that high? I don't know. For a Muslim comedian to say something, way bigger risk than me saying something.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm playing a part, but don't want any credit for it.
Okay. Is it you've spent a bit of time here in Australia now.
Yeah.
Like you've seen their culture firsthand, their politics. I don't know if you read the newspaper here at all. How do you see sense it's different from ours? Obviously it's very different, but anything like that stood out to you about their politics?
I feel European people in a warmer climate can be nicer people. That's the one thing I see.
That's funny.
I'm very surprised by how everything fucking works. Maybe the people who live here don't appreciate it completely, but you compare this to, say, New York or US or in many European countries, this is so much better. Just the cities, and the cities are all you got, right? And the other populations are very small, I guess. So in the metros, at least, everything fucking works. Everything is clean. The public transport, generally, it is safe everywhere. It's not the case in a lot of US cities. It's not the case in a lot of European cities as well. So I think they've done a very good job. In fact, you only were telling me that ideal state is where politics is happening in the background and people don't have to discuss about it.
Mm.
So it's not that big. I mean, politics is not that big in public discourse. Of course, there's corruption here and there, the mining companies. So there's a lot of it. I wouldn't know the details of it, but of course, there's corruption everywhere. But it's not affecting people in their day-to-day life, and they're actually living a very good standard of living. काफी अच्छा है यहाँ पे. They will not realize because they've been born into this.
Yeah.
But you can make it out. You go to the cheapest motel. It is better than most of the hotels in India, because that's the standard of living, right? That if you're giving somebody a room, it has to have A, B, C in it. Right? Whereas there are hotels in India where they won't give you a glass also. अभी 1,000 rupees में क्या ही दे देगा आपको, वो भी बात है. But then basic courtesy. These are sort of pointers for me which say that life is quite good here for at least the Aussies.
There's something I think about a lot, and Arvind Kejriwal had said it at one point as well. I'm not a supporter of Aam Aadmi Party, just to clarify. I think they're better than what we have right now, but they've got a lot of issues. Yeah. But there's something he used to say which resonated with me, which I felt it was so true, was that when I see Indians coming here to this country and living here, we have this thought in India a lot that Indians are inherently corrupt. We are corrupt people, we are filthy people, then nothing can be done. And there can't be more untrue. That is completely untrue. I completely disagree with that, because I've seen Indians coming here. Sure, there is a bit of inertia from how they have been, but they change. So this thing Arvind Kejriwal used to say is, it's the system. There'll always be 10% people who will go against that system, whatever that system is, and they will break the laws. And but 90% will follow whatever the system is. So if the system is designed in a way that it rewards you for being clean, not throwing stuff on the road. It rewards you for not being corrupt. Or it punishes you for being corrupt, then most people will stop being corrupt. Yeah. There'll always be those 10%. If they're here in Australia, they'll be there in India, but most people will stop. Yeah. So this idea that Indians are inherently corrupt and we can't do anything, what do we do? All parties are corrupt, we are all corrupt. That's bullshit. The system can be changed. It can be changed to a point where we stop being that as corrupt.
Yeah. So I think the systems here, I don't know how they've evolved over the years, but they've done well for themselves. Like, not only, I don't know about the parliamentary system, how it works, but meaning, I got a lowdown from Ati like 3 years, and a multiple parties, but there are two big ones, obviously. And there's one legalized cannabis party, which is one seat from Melbourne, that to suburbs, I don't know how. So yeah, things fucking work, and I've been very impressed by it. And sure, somebody has done that good work, in the past. So much so that now religion and petty issues are not discussed in politics. So you have your right wing and left wing, ka whatever they must be fighting here, but they fight on more important things, and not like a temple here and there.
Yeah.
So I think that way, it's kudos to people who done it, because I don't think this is the same country 50 years back. No, they've done their progress. I mean, they're leaps and strides.
100%. They had a white Australia policy until 1987.
Yeah.
They would only prefer immigrants. So they had their issues, but it seems like they've somehow sorted them out.
Yeah.
Largely.
So one is systems, like you said, and other is scarcity. If your population lives in scarcity, they will not be nice to each other. They have to be secure about the basics first. Then the other stuff comes in, which is what I was thinking when I was taking inventory of all my sets and which one to do here for the mixed crowd here. I realized most of what we talk about in India and stand-up, it comes out of scarcity, or like poverty. And not only me, most comics, कि पैसे बचाने, माँ ये कर कसर करती है घर पे, है ना, कि मैं एयरपोर्ट पे गया, एरोस्टेस ने पूछा मुझे इंग्लिश में बात करना नहीं है, सामने जो स्टूपिड जोक्स, you know they can talk, but then that's where it comes from. I went to expensive shop, वहाँ पे मैं बात नहीं कर पाया, होटल में मैंने इसको ऐसे यूज कर लिया, रूम में समझा नहीं क्या चल रहा है वहाँ. So it's all scarcity. So I think systems and abundance, here there is abundance, so people can be nice to each other. You won't think of stealing small things, because it doesn't just occur to you only.
100%. You were doing this joke in the beginning about how in India is going to the gyms these days and they're hammering things.
Yeah. And you pointed it out, and like, fuck, I didn't think of that. Either so labor is the dignity of labor in a way. That's how it should be. I've met Europeans who are here just looking for labor jobs.
Exactly. And they come from Europe because the labor jobs here in Australia, especially high, even higher paying than most European countries.
Yeah.
Very high paying jobs.
Yeah. And there is no class system that way. But you can only achieve it after you kill all the natives off. So कोई दूध का धुला हुआ नहीं है.
That's true.
One thing that's been like really, I wouldn't say weighing on my mind, but because they acknowledge everywhere, I think it makes a difference, because it reminds you also, right? And I told you this the first time we had met, that when I went to Sydney for the first time, a friend took me to the harbour, and it's very surreal when you first see it, because it is as grand as you've seen in the pictures. Like there is a huge fucking cruise ship parked always, and the harbour bridge itself, and the opera house, and just the bay and everything. And a lot of people, a lot of hustle bustle, and then in one corner you have two natives who are playing their traditional pipe instrument, right? Busking basically. And it felt so tragic that this was their land, and now this is what they've been reduced to a sidey tourist attraction, right? And in my mind, I almost felt like this is the last scene of a science fiction movie. Like a Stanley Kubrick film where the first scene is the stone is somewhere, and then cut to today's age, and this is what has happened. And is this really progress? If you look at it from that point of view.
That's very poetic.
Yeah. Isn't it? So,
I can envision that as a movie scene.
Isn't it? If you just a super cut from there to here, and it is so tragic, and that is what has happened. So, कोई दूध का धुला हुआ नहीं है ना इसमें.
That's true.
So, whenever we talk about India, we're critical about India, we do it because we come from there and we feel for the place.
Of course.
No, but now the politics is such that if you criticize anything, it is like you're not a patriot. It's such a stupid argument, and only an illiterate population can lap it up. And that's so sad, because now for this to perpetuate, they will need people to be perpetually dumb.
Yeah.
And for them to be perpetually dumb, you have to keep propagating all this propaganda on the airwaves, because you cannot stop the internet. You only introduced it in the first place. So for people to be ignorant despite having internet, imagine how much shit has to be pumped into their brainwaves. So, which is what you're seeing right now. It's a very unhealthy place to be. People asking me to add to the sanity question, that is it not stressful? Of course it is stressful. And you see this happening all around you. But I think the only way out for a learned person is to keep learning and growing, because that's the only way out. Now you cannot unsee what you've seen, you cannot unread what you read. right? So there's no going back now. The only way is to know more and then put things into context.
I think what you said really resonated with me was that any like a terrible act or a violent act reverberates through centuries.
Yeah.
And I think things reverberate, right? They have their vibrations. And I think it applies to good acts too, right? Like Gandhi, whatever he taught, whatever his life was, that also reverberates still, which is probably we're still intact as a country because of his, reverberation, those positive reverberations like that. So I think the way I've been thinking about it and trying to stay sane is that, like you said, that firstly, this is a large game. We respect nothing.
Yeah.
Honestly, at the end of the day, whatever happens in India right now, whatever BJP does, nothing matters, right? At the end of the day, this planet will live on, and a few million years from now, it will burn out the sun, and everything will stop. Yeah, but I think we have to go that route for it to. So the point is that in this really small speck of time that we're here, we just kind of do whatever we do, not take it too seriously. I think not taking ourselves too seriously and not taking everything around us too seriously is also an important thing to stay sane. While we do what we have to do, while whatever is happening, and it is serious what's happening. But is it?
I mean, you can say it after you have certain balance in the bank, but
that's true. Yeah.
So there's that. And other thing which I remind myself, I think it's there in the last special as well, I tell people is that the desire to change the world for the better also comes often from a place of ego. कि मैं इसको सुधारूंगा, I will make, that's also ego. And I see it in a lot of people who are activists or social workers, and they're fighting a good fight, but it comes from a place of ego at the end. So I think you should check that also. And I think more in your personal sphere, you should at least walk the talk. Everything else is politics from either side. I mean, ideal state is the way Buddha used to live, where even if somebody is charging at him with a knife, he doesn't feel angry. He feels pity for that guy. That what he must have gone through for him to be in this state right now, this state of agitation or violence. So, utna to sab nahi kar pate, but I think that is the ideal place to be.
Yeah. No, but it's a very good point. So obviously, not being affected by things is a very privileged place to come from. Most of India can't. It impacts their every day.
Yeah.
What the government does, what is happening. I wanted to ask you this: that you've been here for a month. You've lived most of your life in Bombay, right?
Yeah.
Would you ever consider? You met a lot of your friends who are now living overseas. A lot of Indians are moving overseas. It's like a constant thing, right? I hear it in Delhi a lot because of the pollution and stuff. Even people who never thought about it are thinking about it, especially when they have kids.
Yeah.
Is it something you would ever consider?
I think I would. Yeah. Although right now I'm dying to go back home for all the reasons that I mentioned, but I think I would. I would like to believe that I am flexible enough to live anywhere as long as it's offering you a good deal. And a good deal here is the things we discussed earlier. And when you feel homesick or when you feel uprooted, that's the word, which is a very drastic word to use. Then I feel that that itself is an opportunity for you to ponder over what are the things you're dependent on. Because in the end, even the culture and your longingness, they are all crutches. You ought to be able to survive by yourself anyway. Because why even keep that much attachment to anything? It's all very nice to be nostalgic and play your Bollywood songs here, but I think for me personally, I'd like to believe I can survive anywhere just on my own. And because I see even these are attachments that have to be eventually overcome. So yeah, I think I would.
Interesting. Just last couple of questions. What kind of anything stood out in this trip? Like any so you taking back wheat bix? Anything else you're taking back with you? Like any special memory that you'll take back with you?
With the fucking clean water. Remember in Adelaide, I asked कि इनका सीवेज जाता कहाँ है भाई? इतने लोग हग रहे हैं यहाँ पे रोज बर्गर खा के, कहाँ जाता है? How is it possible? Because we are living in such filth that, I'm just amazed at how clean everything is. And even the public space, of course, people go there, they do the picnics or whatever, but you don't see a wrapper anywhere. And I myself practice it back home. I won't throw things. I've been fucking carrying bottles along with me, like on trips to throw it when finally a dustbin appears. But here, everybody does it, no? So,
and there are a lot more dustbins also here.
Yeah. So I think that will really, the cleanliness of everything will really stay. Beauty is there in India, all sorts of natural beauty, diversity, and I've seen a lot of it because I've been traveling so much. So it's not that. It's just the way they've preserved everything. So I think that will really stay with me.
Nice. What are you doing now? What is the future hold in the next 6-8 months, 1 year?
Like I said, the immediate priority is to recover my losses from the trip because our exchange rate is shit. So that is the immediate priority, and even before that I had to release my special. So Gainfully Employed is the next special, which is short and ready, and I should have released it in Jan, but we couldn't get the production, everything through, and then the trip started. So यहाँ से तो मैं कर ही नहीं पाया because there's too much happening. That is the priority, and I thought I would take a break, but there's no chance now. I need to keep the ball rolling. So as soon as I go back, I'm going to do shows, live shows in my usual big city, Mumbai, Pune, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Delhi. So that goes on. I wanted to release a third special also before the elections, but abhi chance nahi lag raha hai. Itna time nahi hai.
That's already shot, the third special?
No, but it's ready.
Okay, it's ready.
Yeah,
okay.
So that show is called Notes from the Bunker.
And that's the one you will perform when you go now?
Not so much because now everybody who follows me has seen it now. So I'll just record it once and release it.
So you've got like a fourth special that you're kind of working on and performing now?
And fifth.
Oh wow, okay.
So I released one last year, No Country for Automation, that's done. Gainfully, I told you, is ready to release. Notes will be the third to get shot. And beyond that, there are the fourth and the fifth special, which I've been touring for a few months now. So the shows are in place. I mean, they'll get better, but I'm confident enough to go on tour with them. So one show is called Guilty Bystander, which is the show I brought to the festival here. And the other show is called Fresh Violence, which is politics again, because I thought I won't do it again, but you can't escape politics. So
uska naam sun ke I've got a feeling, again, I'm not saying this in a bad way, but I've got a feeling that I might be writing letters to you in jail.
Yeah, but they were complaining कि केजरीवाल notes कैसे भेज रहा है, pen allowed नहीं है अंदर. Like they are so mean, it is comical. Like there is evil and there's comical kind of evil. So because he sent out like some notes to the people of Delhi and to his wife, तो बोला ये note कैसा है, अंदर pen allowed नहीं है. अभी check करो pen किसने दिया उसको. So I hope when that happens, or if that happens, they allow me a pen at least.
If you had to give just one, because you're a very calm guy.
Yeah.
You come across as a very centered guy.
Yeah.
One advice, not politically, just generally for people, how to be calm and more centered in life.
I think it's a lot of things. Like there is no one formula to it. No, but I think you have to really analyze your life up till today and be grateful that you're still fucking here. Not many people are here right now, and they were here till yesterday. I think that's the most basic form of it, because your life is all you have. Once your health and your vitality is gone, what is left? Then more than half of the things you keep fighting about will not matter anymore. Not from tomorrow. If your health goes away. So I think this sounds done to that, but it's about being grateful at the end of the day. But then, just some preacher telling you or a motivational speaker telling you and you becoming grateful is not going to work. It's only going to happen through context, and that's only going to happen through experience and reading. आपको कोई बोल देगा और आप grateful नहीं हो जाओगे.
Yeah.
It either happen through great personal tragedy, which I wish doesn't happen, but if it does, maybe that's the route that is meant for you. If not that, then it has to come through your own lived experience and through reading. वो कोई करता नहीं है.
Any book you would recommend?
Right now, the one I've been recommending for the past few months now, because I've not finished it myself, is The Myth of Normal by Gabor Mate, a Canadian physician and psychologist, and he works a lot with people who suffer from trauma and from addictions. And this particular book talks about how a lot of diseases, like the actual diagnosed medical conditions, are linked to trauma, including cancers and autoimmune. And he talks with numbers. It's not just like a hearsay, or not in the Sadhguru zone.
I know everything.
Yeah. Trust me, bro. वो वाला zone नहीं है. It's he talks with numbers, and then that book covers so much ground, not just on a personal, but at a societal and a political level also. That a lot of what you see is just trauma manifesting in different ways. He talks a lot about the native population of Canada, which I think mirrors what has happened to the natives of this country. And the reason why you see more of them in prison and in rehab is because it's generational trauma. And I think even Indians suffer from it, maybe a milder version, but we do. This country has been ruled over for hundreds of years, first the Mughals and then the British. And before that, we don't know. We said our kings were not benevolent, I'm sure.
Exactly.
That is the current political narrative, but I'm sure that's not the case. So the country has been ruled by absolute despots forever. And then you have partition and you have poverty and you have corruption. That reflects in the way we behave. So once you have that context, I think you will have no option but to calm down and just calm the fuck down. Okay. So I would suggest reading. And when I say experience, now not everyone's life is equally colorful, but I think traveling helps. Because how else will you learn? Just by simply going to a very different land and seeing their people, and that even they have lives and even they have ups and downs. I think that itself is a revolution for a lot of people. Because in your mind, it's just you and your relatives and your petty squabbles. The rest of the world is just it's an apparition. But when you go and live there and you see them, then you realize that in the end, I think it's just about realizing your own insignificance. I think it's like a circular journey. You first try to see how I can be special or how I'm the fucking best. When you come back down to how ordinary you are, rather than being disappointing, I think it takes the weight off your shoulders. That nothing I'm feeling has not been felt before. There's nothing special about this. And once that happens, then I think you become more centered.
Sweet.
Otherwise, you feel that जो भी मेरे साथ ही ऐसा क्यों होता है? This is the one line you hear very often. मेरे साथ ही ऐसा हर बार सबके साथ हो रहा है. So once you know that,
कहीं ज़्यादा बुरा हो रहा है.
So this is the life I'm living, and if this doesn't reflect in the stand-up I'm doing, then why am I even doing it? So hence the topics tend to be, some would call it dark or political or whatever, but I can't be any other way. And if that means that fewer people come for the shows, then this should not matter.
No, thanks a lot, man. Thank you for doing this.
Pleasure. Yeah.